All right. We're back. We're back. And people should hear me. People should hear me at this time. We did not have sound last time. We did not have sound last time. So hopefully everybody will come back. Welcome, welcome. We're good. Yeah, I think YouTube got confused because of the mic situation. I think who knows, y'all. Technology is going technology. First of all, hello, welcome. Welcome back to those who are subscribers to the channel, who are emeralds, and welcome to anybody who is new, a new subscriber. I do have a few new subscribers, so thank you. Thank you for joining. Hello. Um, so I was planning on actually doing this later on in the week. I think I was planning on doing this Wednesday. But like there seemed to be more of like a huge need to do it today. I don't know what's going on, but Spirit was like, going to do this, going to do Gemini season readings. And as I was going through things, I was like, oh, this is Gemini season, part of Cancer season, because I will not be able to do Cancer season readings. So this is a mix of partially Cancer season and Gemini season, and partially Mercury retrograde. This is a very busy, very interesting time astrologically. Hello, everybody, as you come in. We're just saying how this it was spur of the moment because Spirit made it spur of the moment versus the original intention was to do it Wednesday. So yeah, so we're doing not only Gemini season but part Cancer season. So first of all, happy birthday to Gemini. Happy birthday. I think it's one of the best seasons of the year, of course. I'm biased because I'm a Gemini. And so yeah, so we have a number of cards today. We have a number of things to go over today. Hope everybody get their pen and pencil. Hopefully you get some water or something to drink. And yeah, that's really, let me see. Certain things that's going to be covered today, I will have like links after I upload and everything to where to dive more into some of these things, because Liz and I, we are co-hosts of a podcast called Astro and Negro, Astro and Black. And we really talk ahead of time about a lot of the transits, but from a historical and Black cultural lens. And when we say Black culture, we really are saying encompassing those of the African diaspora. And so we have a different perspective on a lot of things in astrology. And so some things I'll be talking about today, we already got an episode on it because it's about to get real, right? You think it's crazy now. Let's just wait. And so go on and send this to folks who may need to watch the replay or who need to be watching this live, because we have a lot to cover. I'm trying to see if I have anything to announce real quick before we jump in as people trickle in and get settled. Let's see. Okay, also another thing, next Saturday, June 6th, is the next to the last time or last class for this year for my foundational mediumship class. The price did go up from $125 to $140. But if you've been paying attention on social media to how much is in that class, we cover a lot in 2 hours, and the class tends to extend to like 3 hours because I want people to ask the questions that they need to ask, because I'm tired of y'all being on the internet saying dumb shit, okay, and y'all getting yourselves into a lot of holes, and it is not the time to be losing in spiritual warfare. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I do have readings open for June. June is just gonna be a little crazy for me once Cancer season starts. So get in where you fit in. If you need a reading, if you know somebody who need a reading, come get a reading. General, my ancestral readings are still open. My spiritual court readings have been the most popular this year, where I bring in your whole spiritual court. We divide it into teams. We talk with your spirits a little bit more. So a new offering that is really popular and has been really helpful for people. Also, if you have not looked at my birth chart of Memphis video that I dropped over the weekend on the birthday of the city of Memphis, check that out. That wasn't even the surface of things about the city and why it's getting so much press right now. And I was supposed to be filming the second part to that video about what, like, as Memphians and even the rest of the United States needs to be looking for based off this chart as we move into the next civil rights movements, because this was happening. Uranus in Gemini is the precursor to a lot of civil rights movements. There is an episode about that as well that me and Liz did. Let's see. What else, y'all? I think that's all that I have as announcements, things like in case you missed it and all of that. Yeah, I think that's all. So let's go on and get into this because y'all, it's a lot. It's a lot we're gonna have to get into for real with this. So let's start with today. Let's start with so Gemini season started on it. The sun went into Gemini, I think the 20th or the 21st at like 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, which brings us to now, where we would have the full moon in Sagittarius on the 31st of May. Let's set the scene first of what's going on right now. Astrologically, right now, let me pull out everything so everyone can really understand what's going on right now. Right now, the sun is in Gemini, Mercury is in Gemini, Venus is in Cancer, Mars is in Taurus, big Jupiter is finishing up being in Cancer. There's a whole episode, Jupiter Cancer as well. Listen, Jupiter Cancer was not what people thought it was going to be, but people who actually understand Jupiter know you need to side eye that big ass planet sometimes. Okay. Saturn is in Aries, causing a ruckus. Uranus has gone into Gemini, baby. That is a fool and a half. So be prepared for the next 7 to 8 years to really be open to changing the course of your life, changing your mindset, being what is it? What I want to say? My gosh, being open and curious. Be curious, right? Yours being in Gemini, I'm gonna post something probably tomorrow or Wednesday. There's a lost Uranus in Gemini episode between me and Liz that has not seen daylight because it gets sabotaged somehow. But on my end, it still works. And there's a clip of Liz talking about how Uranus and Gemini has always brought up things around literacy. And we know that's been a huge thing recently with media literacy. A lot of people, majority of US American adults cannot read past an 8th grade reading level. I think it's lower than that. I think it's about 5th grade reading level, just based off how I have worked in certain state positions. And we have had to make sure things are below like 5th, 6th grade level. For health information. Neptune is in Aries, causing ruckus per usual, and it's going to be there for a while. And then Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius. We are towards the last end of the North Node being in Pisces and South Node being in Virgo. I cannot wait until this nodal transit is over, y'all. Y'all do not understand how much beef I get with this nodal transit, but it's because it's my chart. And then we have Chiron. Chiron is about to leave Aries soon, and when it goes into Taurus, my God, even for that short time in June, we're going to have a glimpse of 1929. Okay. But so that's kind of setting the scene, the setup to the background for full moon in Sagittarius. And if you watch the Taurus season readings, you know I was like super hyped for full moon in Sagittarius. I am still hyped for full moon in Sagittarius. It is going to be at the 9th degree, which is a Sagittarius degree. So not only is it going to be a full moon in Sagittarius, but it's going to be at its degree. Come on now. Like the chart says it's a Cancer rising chart. Like full moon in Sagittarius is going to be so delicious if you know how to play it right. If you stand in your truth, right? If you believe in your vision of yourself, if you're ready to leave behind the old version of yourself, the version that you for some reason never knew how to love, okay? Mars is going to be in Taurus in the 9th degree still. So this restlessness you're going to have. I wouldn't be surprised if Sunday, the 31st, is a busy day on the road because people are going to be feeling restless. They're going to want to travel. They want to going to be wanting to yap. Sagittarius is a sister sign to Gemini, which is why we have a full moon in Sagittarius. And of course the sun, because full moons, right? The sun is going to ready to be putting its light on the moon, so it's also going to be 9 degrees. Then what I thought was really, really interesting, because we don't have a true conjunction, but I thought it was important to highlight Lilith. So any of the spiritualists who work with Lilith, the spirit of Lilith, like her actually, I think this is actually a really good moon to work with her. To really reveal and revolve around truth. I wouldn't be surprised if this will be a good moon potentially to book trips, or if you want to do any type of truth petitions or spells. And for some reason, like any court work will be good, like good for this. Just like new moon in Taurus was really good for court and legal stuff. And this full moon in Sagittarius is going to ask you, like, what do you believe that you're capable of? Right? Belief in yourself, like believing in your vision of yourself. Full moon in Sagittarius is going to ask you to remove what all you thought you were incapable of. Maybe you need to ask for more capacity to do the things. Maybe you need to ask for being more purposeful in your relationships. And maybe you need to ask for what do you want as far as new structure for this capability, for new purposeful relationships in your life. I wouldn't be surprised if lately people have been losing friendships, or the relationships that you used to have are finally breaking. The last of the cords are being cut, right? And it also asks you to imagine enough, romanticize the life, imagine and being too intuitive when you're asking to cord cut and come anew. And I had to pull for these things. I really did have to pull. I used what deck did I use? I used the Tarot by Menzel to pull for the full moon in Sagittarius. And I got the Hanged Man reversed. And I got the Lovers reversed. Right? Full moon Sagittarius, right? Let me move it up again. These are the two cards for full moon in Sagittarius. Full moon in Sagittarius really does. It's saying with those cards, with what I've been saying, what full moon Sagittarius represents this coming up Sunday, it goes back to what I just said, like what old belief systems are you still holding on to about yourself? What's keeping you in balance? What relationships are you finally ready to let go? What belief systems about your path and who you are and your, like, please, if you're going to do any type of release work, please release self-doubt for this full moon Sagittarius. Be a better bitch. Like, I don't know how else to explain it than to like really embody the audacity that Sagittarians tend to have in their life. Have you met a Sagittarius placement? The audacity of these people, how maybe that's what you need to ask for. outside of asking for the capacity to expand, right? So that's full moon in Sagittarius. I'm super excited for it. I think this could be a really powerful moon for people who are in this transitional space of life. If you feel like you've been kind of stuck or in this transition mode and you can't necessarily turn that corner, use the full moon in Sagittarius to do so. Use a road opener. People who use the Quran or the Bible, really good time to use that type of working about road opening and ordering your steps. Like, really good moon to do so. So after that, the very next day, we have Mercury going into Cancer. Now, Mercury goes into Cancer, makes us handle communication with care. But as Mercury goes into Cancer, it starts getting ready for Mercury retrograde at the end of the month. So if I'm not mistaken, by the 7th or the 17th, I forget which one, that we will be starting to feel Mercury retrograde. This Mercury retrograde, it's going to be long. It's going to be long because we're not going to get out of the shadow period until the beginning of August. So the summer, hot girl summer. Oh my God, we're going to have a great summer. Da, 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 da. Hold your mules, baby. Hold your mules. Because make sure you have a plan A and B and are considerate enough in your plans. Not only consideration starts with considering yourself and your personal boundaries, but also like extend that, because you're gonna need a lot of patience this summer. Everybody is going to need a lot of patience with themselves and with others, especially if you're going to be traveling this summer. We may have a harsher summer than we would like to. Now, after that, on the 13th, we have Venus going to Leo, and we begin to love out loud and with confidence. I say Venus in Leo and Venus in Gemini transits are similar, although Venus doesn't really care too much to be a Gemini, but I think they're similar because they talk about doing things with confidence and want to share their love and affection with those who they love and admire, and want to be able to show who you are, show what you like, and everything. Now on the 15th, we have the new moon in Gemini. And the new moon in Gemini to me is a really good new moon as well for people who are really needing like luck on their side, or who are ready to launch creative projects. I think new moon in Gemini is also a beautiful moon to plan interviews, because you're gonna want luck on your side. New moon in Gemini, let me break this down. New moon in Gemini has the lot of fortune, which is the lot of fate and luck and fame, is going to be conjunct or right on top of the rising of that chart, and which is all in Taurus. Beautiful. That means if the lot of fortune is in the first house of Taurus, and then the new moon is in the second house of income, confidence. This is going to be a beautiful new moon to manifest and conjure everything that you want. Once you have released all that you need to release during the full moon in Sagittarius, yes, there's a caveat. Because this moon can also bring inner conflict to what you really want. So if you have problems with shame and guilt when you do things for yourself or anything like that, this is not the new moon to manifest, because you still need some things to work on. This new moon, you have to approach with sensitivity, in a sense of like you need to be intuitive with this moon. You need to be confident with it, because if you're not, it's going to lead to misalignment. And if you're too comfortable and too content in your life right now, when you know you're supposed to be more and having more, that new moon in Gemini is going to bother the shit out of you. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna probably be mad why everybody's so happy. Why does everybody feel like X, Y, and Z? Because it is a time for people to do it scared during the new moon in Gemini. And that's why I say, like, if you can plan an interview during that time, or you can like do some what is it, when you go back and forth about your salary, negotiate. Perfect time. And it's really a really good time to launch anything creative that you want to, that you've been scared to release. That's the time. Release it. Okay. Now, for the cards that were pulled, this is how you know it was real. We got the Star. So this means blessings from the ancestors and above. Blessings. With the energy of the Star, if I don't see y'all lighting any green candles, y'all doing self-love, listen, you better layer this shit. You need to do some anything. Herb, perfume, glamour work. Hello. With Ace of Cups, new creativity, new projects, new emotions, new relationships. New moon in Gemini, if you know somebody who's trying to propose and scared to propose, scared to get a relationship, then they may finally ask question. Okay. Doing a new moon in Gemini. Okay. So we do have a full moon in Capricorn on the 29th, but I'm not going to touch that because that's another big moon. And I'm sure a lot of other people are going to talk about it. So is it sad to say I don't feel like I should? It is what it is. Now, new moon in Gemini, we're gonna be like, oh my God, we feel so good, stuff feels so good, but we gonna have this sense of foreboding in our, like in the back, like everyone's gonna be like, oh, great moon, it's been a great week. But at the end of the day, you waiting on the other shoe to drop. Well, the shoe to drop is Chiron in Taurus. Chiron goes into Taurus for a short amount of time this year. On the 19th, it's the asteroid that represents the wounded healer. It's going to move into Taurus until 2034. Now, it will have one more stance in Aries from September 2026 to April 2027. Afterwards, society must deal with Chiron in Taurus for a while. This will cause shifts in monetary systems, capitalism, consumption, food and fabrics, and even music and culture. It will shine on a light that needs to be healed. Listen, I already have a whole thing on Chiron and Taurus. Listen, we talked about it through history, depression, the Great Depression, the recessions, its impact on fashion, fast fashion, or what's going to happen in fast fashion, what's going to happen in the marijuana industry. We have already talked about it. I will put a link if you guys already know how to get to the Astro Negro, Astro Black. It's on Spotify. It's on here. It's everywhere you get podcasts. Go listen. I don't want you hear it from me first. At least you're going to be prepared. But this summer, we're going to feel how that really is going to impact us. This means Chiron and Taurus is going to be with us the whole time Uranus will be in Gemini. That's some hard ass transits. I just want us to know that that is on a societal level. It's going to be harsh. After that, we have the sun entering Cancer on the 21st. I do want to talk a little bit about Mars entering Gemini on the 28th. So Mars entering Gemini. Mars is not like being in Gemini barely. It damn sure don't like being in Cancer. Mars, it can like fool with Gemini a little bit, but I have never met a Mars in Gemini transit that anybody has liked. Let's be real. Mars being in Gemini, last time Mars was in Gemini for a long period of time, because it's going to be in Gemini until the beginning of August. Oh my gosh, I think this was like 2022. Last time Mars was in Gemini for a long time, baby. Y'all not gonna like it. It can start huge arguments. This is where people get into like a lot of back and forth with their bosses, power dynamics when the workplace come up, relationship breakups tend to happen a lot through Mars and Gemini. If you are supposed to already been broken up, Mars and Gemini maybe would break you up, but for sure that Venus and Scorpio retrograde that's happening in Scorpio in October, yeah, that's gonna mess you up. So here's what I'm saying. Be careful with your words. Mars and Gemini is similar to me to Mercury and Aries. Y'all see the correlation, correct? Yeah, rough. Like I said, we have the full moon in Capricorn on the 29th, and then Mercury will go into retrograde in Cancer on the 29th. This is going to be a rough summer. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. It's going to be a rough summer. That does not mean stay inside. That means be careful. Yes, everyone, love Jupiter and Cancer, but did Jupiter and Cancer give us everything? Yes, I think we have had really good conversations around community. What does matriarchy really look like? And all these things. But June 30th, Jupiter goes into Leo. I'm not that excited. A lot of people are. I'm not that excited, but it is what it is. So I think here's my advice. Be intuitive, listen to yourself, stop doubting yourself, be confident, move forward. That's the best thing. Go and always be a good person, be a good neighbor. Is that a cop out? Maybe. But that's where we at. Okay. That is where we're at with things, y'all. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I am what keeps popping up in my mind about this summer, y'all. What keeps popping up in my mind this summer, y'all, is what worries me on a societal level. Of course, climate change. I mean, we already have a record number of tornadoes this year, and Tornado Alley has shifted so much that the two states with the most tornadoes this year is Mississippi and Illinois. So what's behind me is the state line of Mississippi. That's how close I am. Yeah, them. So weather-wise, it's going to be hot, and it is what it is. But I think we're going to have a lot more trouble with oil. A lot more trouble. So if you don't have to go a lot, don't. But we'll see. Everything right now is an observation game because we are having all of the US's major transits happening all at once. So we're experiencing all of his history all at once. So that's the astrological outlook for June and the rest of May. So part of Cancer season and all of Gemini season. As you can see, it is a lot going on. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Before we get into the readings for all of the signs, drop an emoji in the chat if you can about how your Taurus season went. Let me know how your Taurus season went while I prepare for. I already have things prepared, but as we transition into the card readings, because this go around is completely different. Yay. We're not using tarot cards. And I always remember, drink your water. Okay, y'all. Let me get my notes because we're going to keep timestamps. This time, I've been doing good. Y'all know how I do. I've been doing good, okay? So, okay, let's start with air signs. Okay, so this month, we're still doing the 4 elements. It's air, water, fire, earth. No tarot cards. Oracle and Lenormand. Okay, Lenormand is one of the Lenormand technically predates tarot, um if I'm not mistaken. There is a certain way to read Lenormand, but we only get one Lenormand card for each elemental sign. Taurus season was indulgent. Wow, that's about right. Taurus season will do that. But the oracle cards we are using is a money, career, finance deck for each elemental on top of the Lenormand, which is the malefic. Where's the case? Oh Lord. Okay. The malefic Lenormand. This is what the backs look like. Very pretty backs. And so a little different. Like I said, we're going to start with air signs, then we're going to go to water signs, and then we're going to fire and earth. Now, this is set up, how I divine on this is sun, moon, rising, and Mercury, since we have Mercury retrograde. So think about what your Mercury sign is. My Mercury sign is in Cancer. Am I about to get toe up doing Mercury retrograde in Cancer? Absolutely. So it's water. So I will be looking at water as well. So I always say, if you look at your natal chart and that sun is in houses 7 through 12, that's a sun. That's not what it's called. A day chart. A day chart. So you would look at your sun sign and your rising sign. If it's in houses 1 through 6, that is a night chart. So you may want to look at your rising sign and moon sign, and then of course your Mercury. I explain this every time because, like I said, I have new people, new subscribers, new emeralds. You have Mercury in Aries, so you also look at fire. And it's in particular to the Mercury retrograde. So if you're going to look at, if you want to look at your Mercury sign, when it comes to the element, be like, okay, this is to help me for Mercury retrograde. Yeah. Like I said, I'll feel free to jump in the chat, folks. Okay. All right, make a good time, and we'll have to make a good time today. Amen. So let me get some more water. Once again, happy birthday to Gemini. I guess, well, when we get to water signs, I'll say happy birthday to Cancers as well. You have 2 cards. Have not seen them for real, so I am looking at these and observing these. Okay. Most definitely, if you have a Mercury in an air sign, most definitely, I think this card most definitely is for you for Mercury retrograde. It says reconsider a decision. Air signs. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, most definitely. I don't know why I want to say this, but some of y'all are involved with people romantically that is not supposed to be serious, baby doll. So reconsider a decision to be with this person long term. It doesn't feel like, which is crazy, this is a money career deck. So I don't know if the person or people you are with may mess up your money, may mess up your job flow. I don't know. I don't know if it's interfering with it, but that's what's coming across. And it's very interesting that reconsider a decision. And it's like, listen, if they're about to mess up with your money, your job, your finances, your career, your reputation, reconsider the decision with being with them. I think that resonates with some of the transits that's coming up, potentially. Because remember, this is for Gemini and part of Cancer season because that Mercury retrograde coming in. I most definitely think that card for sure. It's about that. It's crazy because nothing about it gives reconsider a job. It's saying reconsider that romantic partner or partners. The rebel is the next card you guys get. Not surprised with Uranus being in Gemini. Um, and yeah, I'm not surprised. The rebel, Uranus is also the rebel. You are a trailblazer meant to see things differently and set a new path for others. Now, this is very interesting, air signs. With for those of you who are just coming in, catch the replay about the full moon in Sagittarius, where I talk about really in the new moon, the full moon Sagittarius, the new moon in Gemini. I talk about really disconnecting from things, people, everything that no longer serves you to really bring in this new wave of yourself, right? Um, and having this clear vision for yourself and for your future. And I know that feels so like what everybody else is saying, but it's because of the generational planets moving and shifting into new constellations that the energy is just different. Come with it or get lost. Like this is what the energy is saying. It says your rebellious spirit makes you a great system buster to teach others a better way. So I think air signs, you need to a lot of y'all need to be writing. That's what get caught up in my throat. A lot of y'all need to be writing, guiding, teaching in a way. An old belief about money could be preventing you from getting ahead. Chiron, once that Chiron goes into Taurus, that's going to that should be pushing your buttons every single time. An old belief about money could be preventing you from getting ahead. That also makes sense, right? Uranus and Taurus, societally, right, made us really push back on capitalism and how it has been a sore spot for civilization and society to continue to move forward in a progressive way. And now you have to think, okay, how has those beliefs how have they impeded on my thought process about myself and about money, or just about really receiving what you deserve, whether it's monetary or not? How has that hindered or wounded you, right? Because when people do a lot and have not been reciprocated fairly, they get burnt out like really, really quickly. So think about their air signs. And now for the Lenormand deck, you have birds. I think it's very fitting. It's also birds are chirping in the background. I think that's very fitting. I think that's very, very fitting for, which is like a 7 of diamonds. Interesting. 7 of diamonds. Ooh, okay. This Lenormand card most definitely is about Mercury in Cancer retrograde, because birds, gossiping, meaningless talk, empty promises, anxiety, air signs. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. Okay. Inner dialogue, hunting thoughts, and phone calls. That means Mercury in Cancer retrograde. Pay attention to gossip. Pay attention to anxiety. People making you empty promises. What are your thoughts telling you? What is haunting you? And I want to say be mindful on phone calls, but make note if certain phone calls, air signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury. If some phone calls makes your mindset shift, Was it something that somebody said that made you feel a certain way? Was it somebody said on a phone call that changed your life? Or they told you some stuff and now you're like, yeah, you just told me XYZ about this person, but now I don't trust you. Yeah, with so much being in the air signs over or it's being Mercury ruled over the summer, do not be surprised if it just feels like, why is something always like truly happening, and why is it like, I want, we try not to put it as to you, right? But for you, like what's trying to shift, and in the grand scheme of things, how is it trying to shift you into your power? Let me know if that resonates as the season progresses. Or maybe it's already starting to show that, right? We've been in Gemini season, what, for 4 or 5 days, and it's already on 10. So yeah, so let's go to the water signs. So hopefully air signs that resonated. Again, air signs: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and any Mercury in water. We have 2 cards again. Okay. And okay, we have change. We have persistence. And the Lenormand card, is garden. Okay. Change. There's change for the better coming your way. Embrace it. Yay. Listen, we like change, right? Just because you don't see any movement, it doesn't mean nothing is happening. Oh, that was an attack. Okay, sometimes to see change, you must be the change. How are you getting your own self stuck in cycles? Just let me know. Just because you don't see any movement, it doesn't mean nothing is happening. I think this goes back to how a lot of people have been feeling a little stagnant, right? Like you're stuck in this transition stage and you can't move forward. But that doesn't mean that things aren't happening in the background, things aren't happening in the spiritual realm. It takes a little while, our time and their time is not the same, yada yada yada. We already know all of this, but it's so interesting, this Gemini and Cancer season, that, and also just because it feel like the change is trash, that does not mean it is not for your highest of good. It may be trash now, but what is it setting you up for? I don't. Let me know. Let me know. Okay. And sometimes that change is not necessarily on the spirit's end. Sometimes the change is because society is trash. So it is just, what I'm saying is, give it time to see the results and the why behind it. Okay, persistence. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed. Success is just around the corner. Follow through with what you set out to do consistently until you reach your goal. Hard work is required to keep building your finances. Ooh, okay. Interesting. This is most definitely a water pal type of reading. Because sometimes water signs feel so deeply that they get themselves stuck. They get stuck in like the what if. They create their own anxiety, like their own depression. Like, baby, the only person who thinks this is going to turn out negative is you. So you create this self-fulfilling prophecy. No, okay? You have to be persistent, be okay with the change, and you have to change, or either you have to be patient for the change, and know that your efforts are not going unnoticed. Even the negative like things that you do are being noticed. Yeah. So just follow through with your goal, with your plan. Stop making excuses. What was the thing for new moon in Gemini? Do it scared. And know that if you want change in your finance, especially if you have spirits who have already told you to do X, Y, and Z, baby, do it. Like, the only person stopping you from getting some of your prosperity, remember, prosperity abundance is not always monetary, is you, right? What's interesting, let's see, Garden, the Lenormand. Garden. This is pretty card. Oh, okay. Maybe part of your summer water signs is for you to get out and about. Garden, social interactions, meetings, public affairs, popularity, social networks, gathering. If you always in the house and you think that's going to change your life, no. You cannot be trying to put out something creative or something new or change the energy around your life, whether there's a new creative project or dating, and you just don't go out and about. Let's be for real. So it seems as though for June, especially, not this is loud. Well, you see, I also said like, ooh, and not have social interactions. If you're in a office setting and you have a lot of meetings, pay attention to what people are saying in those meetings, especially if it sparks an idea. Popularity in public affairs. For those of you, I want to especially say Cancer placements for some reason. Mind what you're saying, especially for some of you who may be influencers, because if you say something wrong, you're going to be the next to get up out of here. Okay. That's all I'm going to say on that. Social networks. Maybe you start to gain more traction on social media, and of course, gatherings. Water signs, you must persevere and move forward. You must do things different with effort if you want something different. Sitting here complaining about the same shit is not gonna do shit. It's just movement has to happen. Change is trying to happen for you and with you and to you, and you have to allow it. You have to allow it, and you have to think differently as it progresses, or you're going to be in the same cycles. Please do not be in the same cycles for the next 7 to 8 years. With the Uranus and Gemini, Neptune is going to be Aries until like I think like 2043. Listen, especially with as Saturn and Aries is moving forward, it's such the perfect time to do something new and creative and for self-expression. Perfect time. So hopefully water signs that resonate. Keep me updated on what happens as things continue. And we're going to go off to the fire signs. Okay. Okay, we're making good time. Okay. Fire signs. Only got 2 cards. Ooh, this may be fire signs, maybe more in their spiritual bags. We have offering, which makes sense, right? We have full moon in Sagittarius. I say you better do something. Full moon Sagittarius, new moon Gemini, you better be doing something. Please. Especially with Neptune Aries, Saturn Aries, like please be doing something. In July, we got the nodes moving into Aquarius and Leo. Fire signs, you gotta be doing something. So, offering, the universe will meet all of your needs. Consider having a money altar. Listen, if you are on my Patreon, I do not advertise my Patreon enough. But if you are on my Patreon, the beginning of this year, I said you need to have multiple altars, especially this year. You need to have your regular ancestor altar. If you do work, you need to have spiritual work, you need to have a working altar. Some people need self-love altars. Some people need, of course, if you work with any type of spirits, they need their own altars. Some people need money altars. Like going back to doing the work, especially doing Chiron and Taurus around ideals of comfort and money and finances and reciprocity. Like, consider having a money altar. Hello. And how many of you are using money as a crutch for your trauma? These billionaires and trillionaires are scared to death. They want to live forever. So they're hoarding money that's not even physical. Get a money altar. Okay. Call upon your spirit guides and angels to assist you during this time. Fire placements. This is really okay. This is for specific people who are probably going to watch this in the replay. You know who you are, especially if you've gotten a reading from me recently. Some of y'all are preparing for initiations. Some of y'all need to continue to either get the spiritual core reading or the ancestral reading from me. Because for a lot of fire placements, it feels like it's the time for you to get on your Zoom. Some of y'all have already been getting bullied about certain initiations. Some of you have already been getting bullied, okay, about getting back into whatever your religious spiritual practice is. Get a better relationship with it. Get a better relationship with your intuition, your higher self. I talk about it in depth. Well, kind of sort of in depth in the foundational mediumship class, because you can't be a medium if you don't know who your higher self is and how to work with them. You cannot always be asking without also creating a relationship with these spirits. Offering. Very interesting. This is a deeply intuitive spiritual type of reading. Get on your Zoom, ask your spirits the correct questions. Y'all be asking questions that don't make sense, or you be scared to ask the real questions. Please pick a struggle. Yes. Now, mountain, beautiful. Mountain talks about obstacles and challenges, emotional weight, fortitude, and durability. This is why you you yelling at us already. Listen, I'm at the fire signs, and it seems as though you missed the air and water and the carpooling for the moons. You probably got yelled at then, to be honest. Probably got yelled at then. But with offering and mountain here, fire sign, sun, moon, rising, and Mercury, especially this for the Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Pay attention to the challenges and the obstacles you are going through, because what is Spirit trying to tell you? Did you set up those altars you're supposed to have set up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago? Right? Did you set up the ancestor altar, the self-love altar, the money altar, the healing altar? Altar for Oshun, Imayai, Shango, Djibouti, whoever, okay, Kali. He contact whoever. Did you go sit on altars? No, you might want to do it now. Maybe that's your assignment. That's why you have to come in after. That's fine. Because they can help you with those obstacles. You can set up the altar for any of the saints. Jesus himself. Okay. Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene show up quick, easy. Okay. Mommy water. Now, let me tell you something. The other hoodoo spirits, a lot of them don't be one all them altars, baby. They be like, listen. Okay. But offering with mountain talks about, I think for fire signs, talks about using what you have spiritually, right? Using what you have creatively. Listen. Okay. Listen, you throw up an altar for one of them saints. Sometimes you don't have to throw up a whole altar. You set up a corner. They'll come. Emotional weight, like I said. So maybe there's a lot of things that are happening emotionally during Mercury retrograde. That you would need somewhere to place. You know how they say, put it on the altar. Maybe that's what's happening. You need to be putting things at the altar. Fortitude and durability. Push through, baby. Push through. This is so interesting, fire signs. This is such a spiritual pool for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Mercury. Especially with what's going on. I most definitely use that full moon in Sagittarius to release all these old beliefs you have about your spiritual practice and constraints around it. In your relationship to your spiritual practice or practices, and ask the scary questions. Thank you for loving the green. We mentioned, anyways, like I think, and it goes back to why I say new moon in Gemini. So new moon in Gemini says do it scared, and you have to do this. You have to do it scared. You're gonna mess up sometimes. Yeah, it's part of the things, right? You're gonna mess up sometimes. Spirits show more grace than humans, and if the spirit ain't gonna show you grace, they're gonna tell you up front. Tell me if I'm lying. They'll tell you up front. But you need to go forth. It is scary. I think many and plenty of y'all are going through initiations, and if y'all wasn't, it wouldn't be crunk on my end. Okay, so I most definitely think, and initiations don't always look like these big things. Sometimes just going and getting another gift or stepping into it a little bit more in depth, and it's part of the process of growth. I think, especially June will be very important. June and July will be very important, but that full moon in Sagittarius can be a really good setup. Like, so open up your beliefs about yourself, about your practice, about your relationship to your practice, religion, whatever. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people with fire placements move from practices or initiate more into the ones they're supposed to be in. So yeah, hopefully, fire signs, please keep me updated. That is so interesting. You see, I'm like, interesting, right? So we're gonna move on to earth signs. Let's see. Drink some more water because it's gonna be a longer reading. I think we're making good time. We're about to hit an hour. We're going to earth signs. So that is Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury. You have 4 cards. And 4 cards. Let's go and get into his earth signs. because I think they're giving y'all more cards is because nothing is really in an earth sign besides Taurus. I mean, besides Mars and Taurus. this summer. I'm trying to think, like Chiron is going to be in Taurus. Besides that, y'all don't really have no help. If I'm not mistaken, let me go relook at the chart real quick because y'all don't got no help for real. Not a one. It's nothing. It's nothing but the rest of them. My goodness. Okay. 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 Hmm. Hmm. I think this one's a little different. Let me double check. Okay. Is this the? Okay. Sun, moon. Okay. This is rising. This is okay. Each card represents sun, moon, rising, or Mercury. Free will, yes. Hey, nice to see one around this area from this. Hello. Yes. We are around. Trust and believe. We're just low key. We're just low key. It's actually more, I think it's starting to be a lot more spiritualists and astrologers from Memphis. And kind of going to talk about that in part 2 of the birth chart of Memphis. Whenever. Hopefully tomorrow I can film it and upload it, but we'll see. Okay, earth signs. Y'all stuff a little different because I feel like spirit had to give y'all a little something since y'all really don't have any earth placements to help y'all for Gemini and in Cancer season. So this is for sun signs. So if you have a sun sign in Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, it says be a sport. Soon go down the street. Oh yeah. So be a sport. You are being asked to have more fun or focus on being a team player. You could be great in any career, especially anything in health and fitness. I think this is telling like earth signs to like really focus a little bit more on health and fitness, whatever that may mean for you. Okay. Improve your finances by considering working as a team or doing collaborations. Be a sport. Yeah. Sasha, I hope you are traveling safely because I know it's a lot of crazy weather going on. But be a sport, earth sign sons. Saying one, have more fun. Do collaborations with people only if it makes sense, because some work collaborations don't be worth it, but if you're more on the creative side, maybe doing more collaborations throughout the rest of Gemini season and Cancer season can be really beneficial to you. And for sure really focus on your health, especially with Chiron going into Taurus for the summer. That is going to amplify, especially if you have Taurus sun, that's going to be like hitting probably part of your chart that you really need to pay attention to. So really pay attention to your health and fitness, and even maybe if you've been thinking about pivoting into anything in the health and fitness realms, maybe a good time to really dive deep into that. So that's for the sun signs. Let me double check. For the moon signs, so Taurus moon, Capricorn moon, Virgo moon, there is something better. Think of, is there any other way for me to possibly be more into fitness? Maybe nutrition, like real nutrition, or I think with the new diagnosis of changing PCOS to PMOS, which is what is it now? What is it called? So is it polymenstrual something? But PMOS, so it's metabolic, not menstrual, metabolic. Yeah. I think maybe that. I think that's going to, you know what? I really now, since Liz, since you're in the chat, do you think that's a subset of Chiron and Taurus? The health field, because the health field has been being exposed, especially the wellness, right, has been exposed in recent months about, especially when Uranus and Taurus was in its last degrees, about it being predatory and being an alt-right pipeline. Thyroid and adrenal, yes. So I think for people with a sun sign and a earth in a one of the earth signs, fitness is probably, I automatically thought about for people who do things astrologically, who have sun signs and earth signs, like medical astrology. Medical astrology is probably about to boom. My goodness, maybe that's what's going about to be happening. How much you want to bet medical astrology about to boom? Wow. Okay, but for the moon signs, there is something better. Moon signs, um, moon signs. So that's Virgo moon, Capricorn moon, Taurus moon. Something is better. I think having an Earth moon is hard. I do think that. I think it's one of the hardest things, like hardest moon signs to have. I think Taurus moon's a little bit like better because people find that you're homey, but Taurus moons tend to I think Taurus moons tend to have more emotional disturbances, and it impacts their bodies more than they would care to admit. But I think they also have like awesome palates, can be very good food reviewers and chefs and everything. But there's something bigger, right? Capricorn moon said, for Capricorn moons especially, I think Capricorn moon is like one of the hardest to have. Even when you have other major placements, because especially Virgo moons create their own chaos, but that's a whole nother story. But there's something better. Capricorn moons tend to be more scared, and they tend to be more rigid, don't want a lot of change. They don't want to show a lot of emotion because that means that they don't have a handle on things. And whatever they be trying to hold on to is not even for them anyways. There is something better. And I think there is this, for two things come up for me with talking about the earth moon signs, is that this deals with job and this deals with romantic relationships. Job and romantic relationship. So there is something better, earth moon signs. Please let things go. Just because you think it fits in your plan is not, half the time is not your plan, earth moons, because you sometimes be doing shit out of survival mode and because you don't like change. Not this year, not this summer, buddy. Let it go. Okay. That seems a little harsh, but that is the truth. As we move into the rising signs. Rising signs, gift. Someone might give you a gift, lend you money, or help you in some way. I like that. You could get a cash bonus at work. I like that. Let me borrow $1 or $2. You have natural talents, gifts, and abilities just waiting to be discovered. Explore them. Earth rising. So there's a Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus rising. You know what? A Capricorn and a Taurus rising always gonna get some money somehow. They gonna get some money, and somebody gonna probably get them some money easily. I don't know what it is about Capricorn rising, Taurus rising, baby. That's gonna want to do. Now Virgo risings, they have a hard time receiving, but that's because they could be self-deprecating. Now Virgo risings, I love you down. It's one of my favorite placements. However, comma, accept the gifts. Okay, accept the compliments, please. Okay, they're not lies. It's very similar to how I think Cancer sons will lie to themselves a lot. A Virgo rising would do it too. Okay. Um, so someone might give you a gift, lend you money, or help you in some way. You could get cash bonus at work. I also think this goes into like winning grants and scholarships, getting a low interest loan. I don't like loans, so let's say grants and scholarships and fellowships. Let's take that. Um, and you have natural talents, gifts, and abilities just waiting to be discovered. Explore them. Have fun. Have fun. Explore natural talents, gifts, and abilities just waiting to be discovered. Have fun. Please, please, I beg of thee, go and have fun. Be silly. Allow yourself childlike wonder because they leads to healing. You may find a new hobby, a new sense of self, a new sense of reliability, a new reality. Okay. Now for the Mercury sign, so Mercury in Taurus, Mercury in Virgo, Mercury in Capricorn. Interesting. We have leadership. It's time to step into the leadership role in your life. You can expect to succeed in any leadership positions. Your finances will greatly improve once you accept and step into your power. So it seems like Mercury signs, Mercury Earth signs. It seems like, especially with Mercury retrograde, that you will be able to start considering leadership roles. Things may come up. Maybe you start to be the master of your life. Maybe you decide, like, yes, I am going to co-create with the universe. Maybe you decide to get a little fancy with your finances or say, fuck it, we ball. Okay. I want you to do that. Mercury, where would Mercury be in Cancer? But for some reason, I think for y'all, Mars and Gemini would probably be beneficial for y'all. I don't know why I want to say that. I don't know why that's on my spirit to say. Mars and Gemini may be harsh for others, but for y'all, it may provide opportunity. What coolness, okay? I don't have a Mercury in Earth sign. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's a good time. Like, let me keep me updated on that Mercury Earth signs. Keep me updated on that. Yeah, keep me updated on that. Now for your Lenormand card for everybody for Mercury and Cancer retrograde, we have child. Is that a funny looking child? Yes, but a child nonetheless. Let's read what it says. New beginnings, trust, naivete, irrationality, unpredictable decisions. Okay. Interesting. So be on a lookout during Mercury retrograde for new beginnings. What I just say about the Mercury signs, Earth signs. Trust and naivete. Maybe trust that there's something bigger. Irrationality and unpredictable decisions. I think this also go back to that irrationality. For some reason, it made me think about sun signs for earth signs. be a sport. If your boss is being irrational and you know they being a fool and a half, let them be a fool and a half. Don't try to save them. Okay. Oh, yeah, they wanted unpredictable decisions. Sure. Have at it, big dog. It's on your stuff, not mine. Okay. Let me know if that resonates. Let me know what happens throughout Earth. Throughout Earth season. Throughout Gemini and majority of Cancer season. Catch the replay if and when you can. In a second, I'm going to update the description with what I kind of talked about and with time stamps. So be sure to like this. If you're new, subscribe. And thank you again to all the new subscribers. And yeah, that's all that I have. We made great timing. This only has been for an hour and 15 minutes, even with technical difficulties in the beginning. So, like I said, keep me up to date. And I will see y'all soon. All right. Bye.